Hang in there, Emily. I'm here for you, Jason says, holding Emily's hand tightly. They are so focused on the childbirth that they don't notice me. I resist the urge to react angrily and remind myself to stay professional. Inside, I'm thinking about how to handle this situation. I think my colleague just looked at me in surprise. I need to stay calm and do everything I can to make sure the baby is born safely. After the birth, I look into the room and see them being affectionate with each other, not paying attention to anything else. You did great, Emily. Congratulations, I say. Thank you, Jason, she replies. Yes, the birth of a baby is a happy event. We should celebrate, I think, grabbing my phone. By the look on my colleague's face, I probably seem upset. First, I call my mother-in-law. The baby is born. Please come over. After inviting all the relatives, I reflect on my role. My name is Natalie Miller, a 33-year-old working mom. Inspired by my mother, I became a midwife. My mom delivered many babies, celebrating with the parents sometimes and feeling sad when she couldn't save a life. Watching her over the years made me want to be a midwife too. My dad doesn't say much, but he's always been quietly supportive. Both my parents are people I'm really proud of. But there's one family member who's been more challenging. My sister Emily. She lives at home and doesn't have a job, often asking us for money. When I got married, I started keeping my distance from her. Do what makes you happy, Natalie, my husband Jason would say, always understanding my decisions regarding Emily. That's why I trust Jason so much. Jason works in it, and we're both so busy that we hardly have time for each other. We don't have kids yet. Sometimes I wish we did, but I also like the idea of just us two in our later years. Don't push yourself too hard, Natalie. Take care of yourself, he tells me often. We live with Jason's mom now. His dad passed away, and we didn't want her to live alone. She's incredibly kind, never pressuring us about not having kids and always looking after me. I feel lucky to have her, even if it sometimes feels like she's the one taking care of me. My days are usually filled with hard work at the hospital. Today was no different, with a complicated delivery that kept me there overnight to care for a premature baby. That's the situation, so I won't be coming home until tomorrow, I told Jason over the phone. I see. Should I pick you up tomorrow then? What about work? Jason asked, making me quickly check the calendar. Tomorrow was just a regular Thursday, no holiday or special occasion. In my job, I sometimes get weekdays off, but Jason, who works a regular office job, would normally be working on a weekday. Well, I actually had to work on a recent day off. They told me to take a compensatory day off in return. Really? Well, if you can pick me up, I'd appreciate it, I replied to Jason without much hesitation. The next day, after a very exhausting shift, Jason and I went out to eat, and as soon as we got home, I fell asleep. When I woke up, it was already evening, and my mother-in-law was busy cooking dinner in the kitchen. Mom, I'm sorry. Let me help you, I offered. It's okay, dear. Jason told me you've had a tough day, haven't you? Just rest, she reassured me warmly. I felt relieved by her caring words. Anyway, dinner's almost ready, so there's not much left for me to do. Jason got called into work. Let's just have dinner together, she suggested, and I nodded in agreement. During dinner, she kept giving me concerned looks. Is something bothering you? She finally asked. I'm just wondering how things have been between you and Jason lately, she continued. We're the same as always, I think, I replied. That's good to hear, I replied, puzzled by my mother-in-law's demeanor. I wanted to ask more questions, but she avoided the topic. I figured if it was serious, she would share it with me in time. So I decided not to pry further. Since then, Jason and I seem to be missing each other a lot. We used to spend time together on our days off, sometimes with my mother-in-law joining us for a drive. Lately, though, he's been busy with work. We hardly cross paths at home, and meaningful conversations have become rare. Still, we stay connected through calls and messages, so I never doubted our relationship. Life felt a bit frustrating. One day, encouraged by my mother-in-law, I went shopping with her to take my mind off work. Engrossed in our outing, I was caught off guard when suddenly, oh sis, long time no see, huh? I came face to face with the last person I wanted to see. Emily approached with her usual mischievous smile, still as beautiful as ever, which annoyed me. I thought about escaping, but I couldn't just leave my mother-in-law behind. While pondering my options, Emily walked right up to us. You still look exhausted. I can't believe you're my older sister, Emily remarked. Mind your own business, I retorted sharply. Speaking of shopping, since you're out, you must have money, right? Treat me, Emily said with her usual audacity. Here we go again, I sighed inwardly. Since we were young, Emily had always been asking me for money and favors. I've never been one to be taken advantage of, so I've always refused her requests. But she never seems to get the hint. If I didn't give it to her, she would try to take it. My suspicions were confirmed when I caught Emily stealing money from my wallet. My parents and I gave her a serious scolding, but she didn't show any remorse. After that incident, she continued trying to steal from me and even targeted my friends and boyfriends. She's bullying me, Emily would claim, spreading lies about me. While my true friends stood by me, some of my boyfriends ended up leaving me for Emily. This is why Emily and I have never gotten along. I had planned to distance myself from her after high school. But since my mom is a senior midwife and Emily would visit our family home, our paths inevitably crossed. It wasn't until after I got married that we finally grew apart. And yet here she is, standing right in front of me. Why are you here? I asked sharply as we were shopping at a mall near Jason's parents' house. It was a place Emily couldn't easily reach from our family home without a car. She never bothered to get a driver's license, claiming it was too much hassle, and she avoided using public transportation. Well, how should I know? By the way, you're still handling other people's babies. When are you going to have one of your own? Emily taunted. What's that supposed to mean? I retorted, taken aback. Looks like I beat you to it, she said, rubbing her belly. I noticed she had baby items with her. Was she pregnant? I hadn't heard anything about her getting married. Whose child could it be? Enough is enough, my mother-in-law interjected sharply, addressing Emily, who was grinning mischievously. We were enjoying our shopping. We don't need to be disturbed by someone as rude as you. Let's go, Natalie, she said, pulling me away by the arm. Natalie, is she related to you? My mother-in-law asked, clearly curious about the situation. Yes, I replied, recalling that I had introduced Emily to Jason when I brought him to my family home. However, she had canceled both the pre-wedding meeting and the wedding itself. It dawned on me that my mother-in-law and Emily had likely never met. She's my sister. I see, my mother-in-law responded, her expression complicated. I sighed, sensing the tension. Half a year passed by quickly. Jason grew even busier, often not responding to my messages, and my mother-in-law seemed to be spending more time away from home, leaving me alone on my days off. I was expressing my frustrations to a colleague when we received a call about a pregnant woman whose water had broken and was being brought to our hospital. Her name was... What? It was Emily, my own sister. My colleagues noticed my shock and asked if I was okay. Collecting myself, I replied and headed to work. As I entered the delivery room, I was surprised to see a familiar face. Stay strong, Emily. You can do this, I encouraged. To my bewilderment, Jason, who should have been at work, was there beside her, looking like a devoted father-to-be. What? I couldn't help but emit a low groan. I noticed the doctor flinch slightly, but I couldn't take my eyes off the scene unfolding before me. Hang in there, Emily. I'm right here, Jason said, tightly holding Emily's hand, completely absorbed in the moment. I felt a surge of frustration but pushed it aside to focus on my duties. My colleagues seemed taken aback, likely noticing my tense expression. I had to remain composed and ensure the safe delivery of the baby. Dad, please hold Mom's hand tightly, I urged Jason. But he remained fixated on Emily, oblivious to my words. It was maddening, but I had to stay focused. An hour later, the baby was safely born. Congratulations. Thank you. Jason's attention was now completely focused on the newborn baby. It's both a strength and a weakness of his, to be so absorbed in one thing that he often misses other cues, like my icy glares. Leaving the delivery room to my colleagues, I pondered what to do about the situation with those two. After completing my duties, I peeked into their room and found them wrapped up in each other, oblivious to everything else. You did well. Congratulations, Emily, I said. Thank you, Jason, she replied warmly. Yes, the birth of a baby is a joyful occasion. We should celebrate this in a big way, I thought to myself, grabbing my smartphone. Seeing the surprised look on my colleague's face, I realized I must have been wearing a stern expression. I called my mother-in-law first. The baby's been born. Please come over. And as a result of inviting all the relatives. Natalie, were you pregnant? asked one of the relatives who had gathered quickly. My parents looked shocked, sensing my emotions from just my smile. "Everyone, please calm down. I'll explain everything," I reassured them. "I don't see that fool and your sister," someone remarked, clearly referring to Jason. I wondered if my mother-in-law knew something. With that thought, I led all the relatives to the room where they were. "Excuse us." "Oh, Natalie," I exclaimed as I entered suddenly, catching Jason and Emily off guard. Their faces went pale as more relatives filed into the room. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law's face flushed red with anger. "That foolish son," she muttered under her breath. Confusion filled the room until my mother-in-law spoke up, addressing me first. "I apologize for the trouble caused by my foolish son." "No, you're not to blame. Did you know about the affair?" "Yes, actually," my mother-in-law admitted. She recounted how she had once seen Jason and Emily walking together and had wanted to confront me about it, but never found the right moment. That explained her recent odd behavior. She had been secretly investigating ever since, even hiring a private investigator. "Wait, what about your job?" I asked, trying to grasp the full extent of the situation. "Well, about that, Jason quit," she revealed. Sadly, what? I couldn't believe it. This new revelation left me stunned and deeply disappointed. "Since when?" "About a year ago." I was beyond angry now, and it seemed the relatives shared my feelings as they glared coldly at Jason and Emily. "You understand, right, Jason?" I demanded, looking at him for an explanation. "Yes. And Emily, once you're discharged, do you understand too?" "Yes, I get it," Emily replied sullenly, contrasting Jason's downcast demeanor. Seeing her attitude, I resolved not to show any mercy. Afterward, I carefully reviewed the evidence my mother-in-law had collected. Currently, Jason was being closely watched by the gathered relatives, while Emily was under scrutiny by her own parents. With the evidence at hand, it seemed likely that I could pursue a divorce. Jason had truly proven himself a fool. "No, I apologize for my foolish younger sister," I responded. Then, realizing their curiosity, I continued, "By the way, if you don't mind me asking, why is your sister like that?" "Oh, it's probably because of our aunt," I explained. "She's a single lady without children who always doted on Emily. With our busy mother, reserved father, and my outspoken nature, Emily naturally gravitated towards an aunt who validated her and spoiled her. Despite my mother's efforts to create distance between them, it seems they stayed in touch behind her back. Unlike Emily, I wasn't pampered like that, and I often told our aunt not to spoil her too much. Perhaps Emily found me annoying and kept her distance. You must have had a tough time," sympathized my relative. "Well, she's been a handful since we were kids," I admitted. "Even so, I can't entirely blame your aunt." "I wonder where I went wrong with Jason," mused my mother-in-law. Her comment made me smile ruefully. I had been completely deceived by Jason. I had always seen him as genuinely kind. Had I been blind? Later, I found out that the relatives had questioned Jason. According to their conversation, Jason and Emily had first met when I brought him to my parents' house. Emily had then said, "Actually," as I listened to my mother-in-law lament about Emily, she revealed how Emily had cunningly obtained Jason's contact information and started an affair with him. Despite my warnings about Emily's character, Jason, inexperienced with relationships even during his college days, fell into her trap. I had been relieved when he introduced me as his girlfriend, thinking he had moved past any potential entanglements with Emily. It was a shock to realize how wrong I had been. In the midst of this conversation, I received a call from Emily. I put her on speakerphone and answered, "Hey sis, Dad and the others are just concerned about you. They'll leave once things settle down." "You brought this on yourself," Emily retorted. "Mom is just worried about you," I sighed, feeling exasperated by her lack of understanding. Emily persisted, "If you're willing to pay them off now, I'll send Mom and the others home." "That's impossible. I just gave birth and I don't have any savings," Emily replied defensively. "Then you'll have to tolerate being watched," I replied firmly. "Hey sis," suddenly, Emily's voice cut off, leaving the conversation hanging. Sorry, I took her phone away. My dad's voice came through before the call abruptly ended. I decided to let my dad handle that situation for now. There was no more room for sympathy towards Emily after that call. I resolved not to go easy on her anymore, despite just giving birth. "Don't go easy on Jason either. Hold him accountable," I asserted firmly. "Yes, I'll ensure he faces consequences," my mother-in-law agreed as we discussed our next steps. Once everything was in place, I arranged a meeting with Jason and Emily. Jason was ushered in by our relatives, while Emily quietly followed with my dad. Her sudden change in demeanor puzzled me until my mom, holding the baby, whispered in my ear, "Emily was severely scolded after she called you." Come to think of it, I've never seen my usually quiet dad angry, and probably neither had Emily. Experiencing my dad's fury for the first time must have been traumatic for her. I reflected silently. "What? You know why you were called here, right?" I asked, breaking the tense silence. "I'm truly sorry," she came crying to me asking for advice. Jason began, his voice wavering. "But do you really think such an excuse will work on me?" I continued, staring at Jason, who avoided my gaze. Reflecting on the past, Jason had often upset me, although we ultimately chose to live together. At first, he had attempted to move in with my mother-in-law and me without discussing it, causing tension. After confronting him, we agreed on living arrangements, and I had hoped he learned from that incident. Yet now, it appeared he had concealed his intentions skillfully or perhaps ignored the lesson entirely. "Don't you have any other excuses? Ever since we were kids, you've always been the favorite," Emily began, her voice filled with bitterness. According to her, our parents consistently praised me while she faced constant criticism. This treatment fueled her resentment towards me, which was further fueled by our aunt's encouragement. When she learned that I was getting married before her, she felt overshadowed and decided to pursue Jason. "That's why I called Jason and got him drunk," Emily admitted, her tone matter of fact. "That's a pretty low move," I responded, trying to contain my anger. "We only got involved once, but she told me if you don't want me to tell sis, do as I say," Emily continued, revealing the extent of her manipulation. "Yet you seemed pretty close when you gave birth," I remarked sarcastically, my frustration evident. Jason looked away, unable to meet my eyes. Why did I end up with someone like him? Is love truly blind? Normally, I would find a man who avoids confrontation like this repulsive. As we kept meeting, I genuinely fell for her, Jason explained, his voice tinged with regret. "Then you should have just broken up with me," I retorted sharply. "Well, I still love you, Natalie, and I wanted a child with you," Jason admitted, his expression pained as my words hit home. Why did he act like a victim now? "What about your job?" My father interjected, steering the conversation forward. "I wanted to spend more time with Emily, so working felt like a waste," Jason admitted, his voice subdued. "And you two were involved more than once, right?" My father's question was direct and unforgiving. "I'm a midwife. I can easily backtrack from the birth to when you got her pregnant. If you hide anything else, I won't forgive you." Emily flinched at my father's stern words, prompting her to confess. She revealed that since Jason had quit his job, they had been meeting almost daily and had been involved multiple times. The revelation left both my mother-in-law and me speechless with disbelief. "I'm going to divorce you anyway," I declared firmly, my voice resolute. "No, please," Jason pleaded, his face filled with regret and desperation. "I'll also cut ties with you. You'll never set foot in this house again," I concluded, my decision final and uncompromising. "Where the hell am I supposed to live?" Jason's panicked question hung in the air. Both my mother-in-law and I made it clear to Jason that his predicament was entirely of his own making. Thanks to my mother-in-law's decision to hire a private investigator, we had uncovered another startling revelation about why Jason had quit his job. "If you're desperate, I can refer you somewhere," I stated coldly. "Huh?" Jason looked bewildered. "Prison. It's not so bad. You get a roof over your head, 3 meals a day, and even earn a little money," I informed him bluntly. Jason's face drained of color at my words. It turned out that Jason had been embezzling money, which had led to his dismissal from work. He had managed to repay the embezzled funds to avoid legal trouble. But that money came from selling off my savings and my mother-in-law's possessions. The realization hit me hard. I had been oblivious to his actions, and I felt deeply betrayed and foolish. "Natalie, I'm not going to show any mercy. If you keep arguing, I'll hand you over to the police." I cut Jason off, my voice firm and resolute. He slumped under my cold stare, realizing the gravity of the situation. I had already arranged for the police to be there, waiting for the moment. "Emily, don't you dare call me sister again. I truly despise you from the bottom of my heart," I declared firmly to Emily, who was escorted away by my father. That was the last interaction I had with her. Now, moving forward. We wasted no time packing our belongings and decided to move to a new home, ensuring safety from any potential return by Jason. The new place is closer to my hospital workplace, and we've extended invitations to my parents to join us. This marks a proper farewell to Jason and Emily. Since then, Jason was found wandering around our empty old house and was taken away by some intimidating men in black suits. Meanwhile, Emily has found a new job and has been working diligently, juggling multiple part-time jobs. My parents informed me of this. They decided to leave Emily with the house as a final act of kindness. She likely spends her days working hard to maintain it. Despite everything, she's resilient. In our new home, we've been raising Emily's child together. My mother, despite being retired, has a wealth of baby-raising knowledge, and my mother-in-law has been a constant source of support, caring for the child with love and dedication. Thanks to them, I've been able to nurture the child with confidence. Financially, my father and I are stable, each contributing to the household. Though not related by blood, this child was long awaited and has brought immense joy into my life. I'm grateful to my mother and mother-in-law for their unwavering support in this journey. I've renamed her Mindy and consider her my own. One day, she may come to understand her origins and face challenges because of it. When that time comes, I'll be there by her side, supporting her through it all. Until then, my goal is to be the kind of mother she can always be proud of. Today, I cherish life and hope for boundless happiness for Mindy and the new life that has come into our world. With this prayer in my heart, I'm ready to face whatever challenges life brings.